Hey, this is Talk About It Tuesday podcast, episode 7 with Nancy Benoins, the founder and CEO of endnosleep.org. They are reclaiming sleep as a necessity and not a luxury. Nancy is answering the question of the day: does sleep directly affect our sustainability? Let's see. Without further ado, let's talk about it, people. One of the amazing quotes that you have on your website, Nancy, is from Matthew Walker, and in it says, "Sleep is the very best health insurance policy you could ever wish for." Whoa, big statement, Matthew. Why do you believe this statement is true? And if you do, why do you believe that this is true?
I know. Yeah, 100%. It is true. And also, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be on here. It is true because sleep affects, we're currently in a silent sleep epidemic, and the sleep affects, our education, our economy, and our health. So there's so much, side effects of sleep that just we have, and those symptoms that we have that are actually due to sleep problems, but we don't know that, and they affect so much of our day-to-day lives. So sometimes just having that good proper sleep can be transformative, and really building that society that is well rested will affect our health in a very positive way, and we will see so much changes happening just by having an 8-hour rest. But it's not also our good quality rest, like a society that sleeps well and understands the importance of sleep and really gives it its importance. I said that twice, but so yeah, I 100% completely agree with that statement, because looking at the side effects of sleep, they're so detrimental, especially like sleep problems, sleep loss. So yeah, I 100% agree with him.
Yeah, that is, and why would you not? You have it on your site. So why did you feel that, believing in sleep was that your mission in life, and what drove you to this mission of sleep?
So this is I love this question, because I believe my mission when I was 12 was that I had the sense of responsibility to give back to my community. So I was born and raised in Aleppo, Syria, and then experienced the Syrian civil war. So at a very young age, I knew that I had this sort of a lot of privileges in my life. And I knew that because I was lucky enough, to escape, I was lucky enough to live in the US where there wasn't a war. I knew that my kind of goal was to give back in any way I can and really count my privileges along every step of the way. And then when I was a junior in high school, I actually suffered a lot from sleeping problems. And I went to my parents, talked to my doctors about it, and literally every single person brushed it off as if, there were so many other reasons why I wasn't sleeping well, but nobody really took that seriously. And then when I did just Googling and researching about how can I better my sleep, how can I maximize it, I realized I stumbled upon a lot of studies that socioeconomic status and sleep are directly correlated. And I had never thought of sleep as a luxury. I had never been, very grateful to have a bed, because I thought that was something that was normal. So it then became my mission to make sleep tools accessible to everyone. How come is that the most vulnerable communities are the ones that are suffering the most? We're currently in a silent sleep epidemic. There's sleep is detrimental, yet the ones who need it most don't get it. So how can we really bridge that gap? And while I was still trying to figure out, how can I get the best sleep possible, that's when it really became my mission.
So it's a personal goal first, and then
Yes.
burst it into this beautiful organization. Wow, I love that. So can you touch upon the sleep kits that your organization distributes?
Yeah, of course. So that really depends on our chapters. So our chapters do most of that work, or we do it, but we're really right now focused on the education part. We really go out and about and educate, but from time to time when our high school, chapters want to do like a mission movement and want to have a day of like really giving back, besides the education portion, they ask like shelters or what they need, and usually the sleeping kits are consisted of like pillows, blankets, etc. But in the reason why we say sleeping kits and we don't really identify is because it depends on the location too. You know, like in Africa or like some parts of Africa, it's very important to have mosquito nets to have children sleep well at night. So it's really something you want to have tailored to your community, before you just have like this basic, oh, I think I know what you need, to go to sleep.
Yeah, wow, that is very true because each individual community is going to need something different depending on their geography.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Are you trying to wrangle your dog?
Yes.
I'm here. I don't know if you hear, but my cat is meowing crazy in the
Oh
background. If
my
you
God.
can't hear him, so
No,
we're
I can't.
dealing with something similar. It's okay.
So sorry. This happens every single time I'm on any calls. Like my dog is doing something absolutely insane and I just have to control it, but I can't. So I'm so sorry about that. We're all good
No, not
now.
at all. I just wanted to bring it into like reality because it's so true. Like this, we're just talking here, and
Yeah.
my cat's meowing up a storm. I don't know if you can hear it, but
No,
it's
I
like
can't. I
ridiculous,
can't.
so distracting. And your dog, it's just like reality of
Yeah,
COVID.
staying home and having to deal with this kind of things. I'm so sorry.
So that's life, and it is. We're in the middle of a pandemic, people. So remember that if you're listening
Yes.
or watching, just know we're doing the best we can here with what we have.
Yes. We're just like all the resources available. I mean, this is all I can do is have my dog by me. There's no one else. So,
I'm like, I got a good background. If my cat is in there meowing, he just wants to be with me.
yeah,
Life, and it's reality, people. So love it or leave it, right?
exactly. Exactly. This is not the first time it's happened. I was on a conference call and she was like I could hear her making noises and I have to give her presentation and I'm like, "Oh, in the back of my mind, I'm so distracted. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how do I continue on with this?" Just let her be and just moved on from that
Yeah.
experience.
And you just do the best you can. It's okay.
So sorry.
No, oh my God. And that's why it's like, let's just call it out because it
Oh
is,
yes.
and life is life. Like, this is what we deal with on a daily. Any moment, somebody could walk in. So here
Yes.
we go, you know? All right, let's get back on sleep. Sleep track. So awesome. So those are the sleep kits are very individualized to the community, whatever school or chapter wants to really do this for their community, right?
Yes. And I'll also go about saying that I've worked, I've before starting No Sleep, like I've worked with other nonprofits and had that experience. And one thing that really stood out to me is like the work that nonprofits are doing is of course very important, but you have to ask the community what it needs. Like who am I to say what I think is right for me is right for your, culture is right for that community. So one thing that was so important for me personally on my mission, to help give rise to a well-rested society is to understand the societal needs, and every society is different. So I want to make sure whatever is done with No Sleep is done to the best of the ability to really tailor that to that community and see, why are you sleep deprived, right? Like one community can say one thing and the other can say another thing, and like there's no one solution that fits all. So just want to point that out, that is so important with every nonprofit I see, is like really asking the community, what can I do for you?
Yeah, that's a big thing with Recycle the Riches too. And that's why I think and No Sleep is kind of just right there because just what does the community need? They know what they need. Ask them. So that's kind of where we come from with the communication, collaboration, and community education. You know, not
Yes.
just this one thing like this is what we're doing here, blah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah. And then
I think that
it's
takes
everybody.
planning. I think that takes planning. I think that takes well communication and willing to listen and learn. And truthfully, that is why we have this Talk About It Tuesday podcast, so we can learn from wave makers like yourself and just listen, and get that into the community. And hopefully people will learn something from it. If not, if they don't need it, they move on,
Fun.
you know? So let's just chat a little bit about coffee, because I'm really big on it. I got my
Yes.
cup right here. I know we chatted about that a little bit before.
Yes.
Coffee's my everything, and I just need to know some tips, tricks on how to not have it affect my sleep, but still have it my addiction.
I'm on the same boat as you. I absolutely love coffee. I think it's more of I have this obsession with it that every morning I wake up, like I need coffee, even though I don't, I just like to have it, why not? I think one thing I've learned truly is that no caffeine past 2 p.m. Um, and any type of caffeine, right? Like coffee, it doesn't have to be like a shot of espresso. If you drink a lot of like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, that has a good amount of caffeine in it. So really being wary and cautious of how much caffeine intake, even though chocolate has like a amount of caffeine, it's not that huge to affect your sleep, but it's important to cut caffeine before 2 p.m. because coffee does last in your body for, um, I believe, 5 to 7 hours. But one thing I commonly hear is like, oh no, I go to Starbucks at like 7 p.m., but I get decaf. Actually, decaf also contains caffeine. So it's very important to not consume any type of coffee at all. Even some teas. There are a lot of people who have this ritual to go to sleep and drink tea prior to sleeping, but just be careful and be wary of like how much caffeine are you consuming, because that might actually be harmful for you, even though having a nighttime routine to go to bed is beneficial. Just like always being careful. But I love coffee. I couldn't cut it out. So if I can do it before 2 p.m., that's my go-to.
Oh my gosh, it's almost 2 here. I don't know if I could do that. In California, it's like 1:19. I'm so scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I can't cut myself off. I still need 3 more glasses of this. But I'll try. And you know what? Actually, Nancy, I'm doing a water audit for my environmental science lab, and in I'm measuring how much water it takes for the coffee to get to me, and then how much I use on a daily. I use Folgers, a big amount, and then through the Keurig cup or the Keurig machine, I have a reusable K cup that I just fill the grounds in, um, and I do it that way and make my 1 cup. But I want to see how much water this is all taking, right? So I already need to focus on lowering my intake. So maybe if I can use that as a tool, and I'll link you into my assignment, that
Oh
would be
my
so awesome.
God.
That'd be really
I
good.
would love
That'd give
that.
me
Yeah.
credibility to my assignment.
I would love that. Also would love, I'm so curious to know. That's such an interesting, assignment and project. I'm so curious to hear, what the results are.
I know. I'm speaking to Folgers soon to see, like, not speaking to them personally, but looking into that, trying to reach out to them and see how much water it takes for one big um, grain, already ground up coffee to get to my house.
Oh wow.
And
Super
then
interesting.
how much I use each time.
Yes. Oh, that's so cool. That's such a cool project.
Yeah, that's my environmental science mind that just loves to know, like, what is actually happening here with my consumption.
Yeah, I think those questions are really so important because so much happens like throughout, so many things we do in our life that we don't realize how much effort it takes, or, what are the consequences of the things we do. So it's really nice to hear that you're doing this, because that's something I would very much love to know the results of.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you, especially if I'm going to utilize, yeah, and no sleep. Then I have to definitely send
Um,
that over when it's done. That'll be the
right.
so after drinking coffee, stopping at 2 p.m., Is there any other tips for coffee at all that you have for us?
Coffee specifically, I don't know too much about to go in detail, but if we can talk, if you want, we can talk about, behavioral changes for sleep, and I'd love to talk about them.
Yes.
Um, there's definitely, so I know Sleep did a live with an amazing sleep expert yesterday, and we were talking about this as well as like, one thing that why sleep education is so important is because so much we do on our day-to-day life that we aren't aware are actually harming our sleep. Like going back to caffeine, like people tell me, oh, but I don't drink coffee, I don't drink tea, but they drink an energy drink and they don't consider that as coffee or tea. And it's a bit odd because like those small things that happen, that really lead to, you don't identify thing as one thing, but behavioral changes, for example, sleeping and waking up at the same time is crucial because we have what's called like our circadian rhythm, our inner body clock. So it's so important to regulate that. Not only will it help boost your sleep, but sleep obviously has, when you have good quality sleep, so many amazing things happen. But another thing is that it boosts your mental health. Also, eating at the same time every day and really consuming food at a certain amount of time, like during the day, is so important. That will also boost your sleep. Exercise, sunlight in the morning. A lot of times we talk about the nighttime routine, but the morning routine is as important to really get you ready for the day and then get you ready to go to bed too. Also, remembering that, a lot of times sleep can cause a lot of people stress. And also, this idea of like there are other mental health issues that tie into why people don't get sleep is the fact that if you do everything, behavioral changes, of course, to really boost your mental health, that will also boost your sleep. So it goes hand in hand. And yes, of course, this is not like, again, for everybody, because there are some mental health problems that are really serious, and of course you need a doctor's recommendations for them. But just goes to say that having small changes like sleeping, eating at the same time every day, waking up at the same time, exercising, having sunlight in the morning, not using your phone before you go to bed, at least 30 minutes, and also just any type of light. You don't want to, you may not have your electronics in the room, but you don't want to go to the bathroom where there's like it's like it has a lot of lights, and then when you go in, it's like your body immediately gets the signals of like, oh, we should be awake, and then you just ruined like that schedule of going back to bed. And then also another tip is like, if you can't sleep and you're in your bed, please get out of your bed. Staying in your bed while you can't sleep is like very harmful because it keeps letting your brain know to associate your bed with being awake. Also, only use your bed for sleeping. Like, do not do homework, anything else, because you want to make sure your bed and your brain are associated with only sleep time. That way, when you go to bed, your brain knows, oh, I have to go to sleep, not that I'm going to be awake for a few hours.
So the fact that my office is in my room is not a great thing you're telling me, Nancy. What do I do here?
I mean, having your office in your room, like I do that too, but just be wary of like not doing work on your bed. I was very much guilty of that. Like just laying on my bed doing homework, like my brain is keeps associating with like my bed with being awake, doing homework, doing this, or even like staying on TikTok and scrolling for hours. So really just making sure that my bed is my safe space to sleep is really, really important.
Wow, awesome tips. That is really good. So changing lifestyle, your lifestyle habits affects the way you sleep.
Yes.
Obviously, that's so like no brainer, but why don't we think of this stuff, you know? So wonderful tips. I'll put them down below in the comments so people can take those from you and really implement them. But so if you believe that this can affect our health, now then, do you think our health can affect the earth and vice versa?
That's a good question. I believe so, yes. Like everything is interconnected, right? Like um, us being, healthy, and, I don't have, this is just an opinion, like I don't have facts to back this up because like, this is my first time thinking about this during this podcast, but it is true. Like if we take care of ourselves and we really take care of the where our land and like where we're staying, I believe they're so interconnected. If we can't take care of ourselves, our bodies, like how can we take care of where we're staying? Like it just goes to say that they are connected. And I believe the better we do to take care of ourselves, it will just reflect on, how we're taking care of the earth. So yeah, I definitely do believe that it is connected.
Yeah. And we're all, if you think about it, I was just on another phone call with the leaders of Neighbor to Neighbor, and you know, they believe that the forest is us. We are the forest, right? We are the earth. So, and that's a beautiful, beautiful story because we are carbon, we're made out of that, right? And we can break down naturally back into the earth. And if you think about that, then think about taking care of your health, your mental health, your sleep, all of this for when maybe when you do go back into the earth, you're a healthier person for the earth. I don't know. Think about that. Talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I agree with you 100%.
And these are concepts that I love bringing about, and just knowing that, if we talk about it, we get it out there, it's just more conversation around this circular economy that we're all fighting for, you
Yeah.
know. And I do believe sleep health does affect our actual health and our mental health. And so therefore it will affect how we take care of ourselves and take care of the planet. And so yes, that's a part of this circular economy. If people aren't getting proper care, well, they go insane, to be honest, if they're not sleeping properly. So
And just
this
to
is
touch
it.
upon, yeah. So sorry if you were saying, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go for it.
Oh, no, no, no. I could go on for hours about this stuff and go in circles and circles, but no, same concept that you're saying is just like our health, our mental health is affected by the sleep. And we really have to focus on changing our personal actions to change our sleep.
Yes, no, 100%. Like also when it comes to, the talking about like when we talk about the homeless population and really like so many people are like, oh my God, I hear it's the truth. Like it's out there like, oh, they should get a job, they should get that, but they don't get the proper sleep. Like, so if you do the research, so many people have come up and said, like, if they can't get the proper sleep, so what happens during sleep is that, I mean, I heard this on a TED talk, and of course, that not credits is not my analogy, but it goes off to say that it's like having what happens in your mind when you're sleeping is basically like having your, let's say, dirty bedroom, and when you're sleeping, your brain vacuums that dirty bedroom and it cleans it. So the next day, you're ready for that day because your brain has the capacity to take on new information, right? And then when you don't sleep, it just keeps piling up. So can you imagine like having homeless population who they want to get up? They want to do things, but their brain is not in the right state of mind to do that. So it's very important to see how can we fix, then there is the talk about housing, but how can we fix that sleep? Like how important our shelter is into getting them that sleep. And this is a huge, completely different topic, but it really goes to say that possibly fixing the sleep solution and the sleep loss in homeless population could really benefit them and could really benefit them into better preparing for an interview. They can't, they're not in the right state of mind to go to, like, I can't even, I'm so angry and irritated after a night of like 4 hours of sleep, if that ever happens when I'm traveling. I can't imagine being on less than maybe zero sometimes for days and days and days, and then having to find a job, having to find a place to sleep, having to find food, like all these things. So definitely when we were talking about the sleep cycle, is like really fixing that sleep. It's not the only solution, yes, of course, I'm aware of that, but it is one of the most critical ones to fix this bigger problem.
Yeah, the global issue, which is one of the SDGs, 17 global sustainable goals for sure. And I do believe that that is a thing. And I also know the reality. There's so many interconnected things with homelessness. A lot of people, some choose to be there, and that is where they like to be because they don't want to live um, under society. Some were forced into it because of their life or their mental status already. There's so many intricate, different
Yeah.
little avenues about that that make up that system. And I'm really going to, pick into this in my work and try to understand them as they come. Because
Yeah.
one thing with Recycle to Riches and these replicable communities that we're trying to create is, like we said in the beginning, really honing in on what the community needs. And that
Yeah.
community means everybody. It doesn't disinclude, it doesn't take out the homelessness and
Yeah.
just use for the privilege. No, this community, what they need involves everybody that lives in the community, not just a certain elite's opinion. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
this is where we're coming from in that aspect of we really need to hone in on what that local community homeless area needs, because some in that area do not want to be moved, don't want to be effed with, and they want you to leave them the frick alone. And you say, all right, that's awesome. I had this little mission of mine where I would just go grab like sustainable supplies and have bags ready to go because I live in Los Angeles. They're homeless people, it's a pandemic here.
Yes.
So any corner you can just see them and give change or do what you can. And most of the time they'd look in the bag and say no thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, because you know why? They didn't need the crap I was trying to give them. Okay, I didn't ask them what they needed. I said, here you go. So that, you know what I mean? This is a pure example of what happens on a big scale with organizations is they say, here you go, homeless people, and they don't say, what do you need? So that's where I'm at now. I want to find out what they need. And by doing this, it's just research and actually going to them and talking and being connected.
No, 100%. Another example like I could give was a few years ago, I went to volunteer abroad in Ecuador. And then there was like this community members who said there was this organization, I don't know the name, and they built a school and that school turned into a parking garage where nobody would use it. And then then the community was building another school where the community was building it, and they knew how they wanted it set up because they were doing it. Like it's their community, right? They live there. And it's like this organization had just come in, put the school there, built it up, zero use. And that's where it goes. It's like, ask us what we need. Like, and also this whole idea of charity, sometimes I know it's a bit off topic of like sleep. I identify nonprofits, sometimes I know sleep as a charity, but who am I to say somebody else needs my charity? There's so many things like I lack. There's so many things I need maybe charity for. Um, so it's not about charity. It's about like a helping hand. You help me do this. I'm gonna help you do this. Let's build this together because I may have great idea of a school system and a great idea for you to get that good night's sleep, but maybe you have something even better for me, and then let me help you. Let's figure this out, and then you can help me figure this out. It's never like I know what you need, because who am I to know that? It's not even with friends that we live in the same community. My needs are very different than theirs. So it's just a topic I also absolutely love talking about, is like how we identify or how we talk about nonprofits and the work they're doing.
Yeah, that was a big thing too, again, with R2R Recycle the Riches, because it was, I don't want to be a nonprofit. They give me such an angst. Like, why would someone want to give me money? You know what I mean? I'm already doing what everyone should be doing, right? And then it turned into the fact that, okay, I need to be a 501c3 because I need to do more. and I
Yes.
can't do it alone. And when you are a 501c3, people will give you a helping hand and will push you to the next level because they believe in your organization. And that is where I'm coming from for that aspect, is like, it's not about, oh, I know what I'm doing, help me do this beautiful thing. Like, no, no, let's do this. The earth needs it. If you have something, let's come together and do this together. And that's kind of where I needed it. It just became the fact that I have this bigger vision and I can't just be a DBA and I don't want to be an LLC. So what then? A nonprofit organization that does it the right way, explaining where your money's going, giving you a pie chart in the percentages of the dollar, understanding what's happening behind the scenes and really bringing transparency behind this whole nonprofit organization. If you want transparency, look behind me. I work out of my office. It's me. It's like my bed is right there. Okay. And same with you. It's like, we really just want to help and we need helping hands at some point. So, with all of this off topic conversation, we're going to loop it back into sleep because I truly believe that sleep can also affect our Earth's health, like we were saying. And so, how can people get to sleep in a natural way, not taking all these negative, I know we touched upon it a little bit, but any more little sleep tips for natural remedies?
So definitely people, okay, so to start with, like, do not take sleeping pills. Sleeping pills are so harmful for you. Like, it's easy for the doctor to prescribe, but oh my gosh, it's so bad. Like, try try to figure out why you can't sleep. So that's a huge, okay. To start with, I think the idea of like getting natural sleep is to really start changing our mindset to sleep is so important, and to take care of your sleep. So a lot of times people just brush off their sleep and how to get that best night's sleep because they don't think it's important. So really starting to think, okay, focusing on your sleep and understanding your body's needs, right? So if you're just getting into wanting to start sleeping better and wanting to start, finding natural ways to sleep, first of all, start detecting your sleep. Like, are you, if you have somebody with you, do you snore when you're sleeping? Even if you sleep 8 hours, do you wake up fine? Really start asking those questions, and then start looking at to what is happening, and then finding ways to really fix those solutions. Because a lot of times there's so much like sleep conditions and sleep problems that are underdiagnosed, and they're not diagnosed because people don't think that that is a problem. Like, the best example I could give is like when I first got into the sleep industry, like I always knew that my dad had sleeping problems, but I always talk about him because he's the best example I could give. And really, like, he would snore. Sometimes, like, during the night, I would feel like he's not breathing, or like that's what, and to him, that's something he's dealt with for years. Like, he says, oh, like, I just ate before I slept. And now I'm like, Dad, I think you have sleep apnea. You fit the exact same symptoms of somebody who has sleep apnea. But because sleep culture and the importance of sleep wasn't really present in the Middle East, it's not taken seriously. Like, he probably has so many other side effects and symptoms that he treats on daily just because of that sleep apnea that he's not, taking care of. So the best ways to really naturally get the proper sleep is to understand your body's needs, right? If you're sleeping as 8 hours, you're not getting good quality sleep, go to your physician. Ask your physician, like, I'm having this sleep problem. Or go to an ENT. A lot of times ENTs can detect maybe um, like physical abnormalities or physical obstacles that are blocking your airway from getting that good night's sleep, or even a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists can really be helpful into finding the right therapies to get you better if you have insomnia. So the best tip to start is like understanding your body, understanding your needs, and then doing the small behavioral changes, like wake up at the same time. If you have problem with sleeping at the same time, make up your mind that, let's say, every day at 8 you have to be awake, right? Start from somewhere. It doesn't have to be like every single night I'm going to sleep at 10 and waking up at 8. It starts from today I'm going to sleep at 10. I couldn't because my body's not used to it. So I'm going to sleep at 1, 2, whatever. I'm going to wake up at 8. And then the next day your body's already tired, so you're going to have to sleep a bit earlier, and then going on from there. um, no caffeine. Stop taking intake like for any type of caffeine before you go to bed. Like, don't check your phone before you go to bed. Make sure you're exercising during the day. Just figuring out what your body needs, but also start by focusing on your sleep. Like, really take that seriously. I think that's the best first step to start really bettering the quality of your sleep. And also, there's this huge thing about melatonin. Just want to bring it up. Melatonin, I figured this out like recently on Clubhouse, actually, that in some countries in Europe, actually, melatonin cannot be taken over the counter. It's so dangerous. And it has so many side effects that are not talked about. So, melatonin is not a sleep medicine, by the way, just an hormone that you're taking to tell your body. So melatonin is a natural hormone that your body releases when it needs to go to bed. So it's important to know that because you're taking an extra hormone. And I think like the max you should take is like a few milligrams, and some people even take 10, which is terrible. So if you're thinking about melatonin, please check in with your doctor first. I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't know what to say to anybody, but just to bring that awareness that melatonin is not like a natural thing to just take over the counter for women and girls. It actually it causes problems with fertility. So it's very important. Yeah, it's very important to keep that in mind. Just wanted to add that on there while we're talking about natural ways.
Wow, because see, melatonin is talked about so highly. And oh my gosh, thank you for that insight, Nancy. This is important. This is going to definitely be in the recap. Oh my goodness. I'm diving deep when we get off of this in melatonin. I trust you. I just like doing research. That's the
No,
science mind, you know?
of course, like that's what I say is like these are things that I don't study neuroscience. I'm not a sleep expert. I'm not a doctor, but just bringing that awareness of backed up research to
Yeah.
the simplest way I can explain it is so important to me because if I know it, I believe that like the sleep community needs to know it, and it is something that isn't talked about. So might as well just bring awareness to it.
Wow, that's huge. Um, this has been amazing. Wow. I could go on for hours, but I think a lot of people have very short attention spans these days. So let's try to wrap this beautiful conversation up. Um, I love to ask all of my guests, no matter where they come from, what background they have, is do you believe a zero waste lifestyle is possible? I only ask this because I like the perception of everybody and to see where they come from it, because I believe it's a very personal idea.
Okay. Zero waste. I don't think so. I wish my answer was like, I wish that was possible. I believe in everything you do, like something has to be sacrificed or something always goes to like if you say no to something, you're saying yes to another thing. So there's always this like waste um that is just I believe is like a natural part of life. And I I wish my answer was like yes. Like I wish there was a zero waste lifestyle where, we weren't really wasting anything and we were very cautious of everything we were doing. But I believe every time we do something, there's a negative consequence of, on the opposite
Yeah.
spectrum. It's just like a personal idea
And no, and
that
that's what we don't judge your answer at all. That's why we ask everybody, because you bring up such a wonderful point about the fact that even if we I know I hear a lot, even if we were walking around naked, not intaking anything, we still would be a little bit of a waste in this world. We still would be wasting. because we're intaking oxygen, we're using, something, right? So that's kind of the concept. But also, I do believe, as a developer of this world, that it is possible if we can sacrifice our ways of consumption right now. I don't believe it's possible on the route we're at. How we consume right now, no, definitely no. Definitely no. But
Yes, it's so important.
to transform the culture, like we say, the culture of consumption can lead us to a zero waste lifestyle, I believe. And that's kind of where I come from with that topic. But I just love hearing everyone's opinion because honestly, it's going to take the world to be on this same topic. And if you've noticed in Clubhouse, they can't get off the topic. If it's a
Yeah.
topic on speed dating, they end up on the topic of sustainability or mental health or something to do with well-being. They really rarely talk about BS nowadays right now. So I feel like the trend, what is it called? Cancer culture, right, is coming about, and this is happening because we need change. And that's what's beautiful about Talk About It Tuesday. And Nancy, that's why I'm so happy we got to have you on here. Thank you for thank you so much. And please let our listeners and viewers know how they can connect with you and support your nonprofit.
Oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much for having me. I've had such a wonderful time. Actually, didn't even check the time. I don't even know how, but it's been an amazing conversation. So yeah, you can support and No Sleep by following us on Instagram or any other social platforms. We're available like possible on Facebook, Twitter at endnosleep.inc. And then also you can go on our website at nosleep.org and just volunteer your time, or if you want to join the movement, there's so many different ways to do that. So anyway, we want to make sure like you can pursue your passion while also being able to really join our community and help the world like better sleep. And yeah, if you have also any questions or anything, you can DM me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Nancy Bosnoian. So I'm very open to talking like about sleep, community building, and anything relating to nonprofits and mental health.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for offering your time to Recycle to Riches and Talk About It Tuesday. You are such a beautiful soul. Want to just encourage you through this time. Thank you, thank you. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Well, thanks for listening and watching to episode 7 of Talk About It Tuesday podcast. Today, we talked to Nancy, the founder of End No Sleep, a nonprofit. We answered the question, does sleep directly affect sustainability? I think we came to the conclusion that it does. And I hope you learned, listened, and grew from what Nancy had to say. Please join us next week on March 30th, 2021 of for episode 8, where we answer the question, what do small consumer actions that are conscious do for the planet? Speaking on this is yours truly, the founder of Recycle to Riches, me, Ashley Morgan. Until next time, community, let's never stop talking about it.